The wind outside hums low, brushing through the brittle oak branches that lean against the porch. You sit in your old robe, the one with the faded roses at the cuff, staring at the quiet street that hasn't seen a visitor in months. Then, a sharp bark slices through the stillness. One bark, then another, then a cry that sounds almost human. You set down your mug, lukewarm now, and shuffle toward the door. "Now who in the world?" you mutter, voice catching on the edge of loneliness that's been sitting in your throat since Harold passed. It's been 2 years, but sometimes it feels like 2 days. His coat still hangs by the door. His favorite chair still creaks in the living room, moving slightly when the wind sneaks in through the cracks. The barking grows frantic. You pull open the door, and the cold night presses against your face like a reminder that winter isn't done with you yet. A brown dog stands in the porch light, ribs faintly visible under patchy fur, paws muddy from the rain. It looks straight at you, not pleading, not wagging, just looking. Something about that stare unsettles you. You whisper, "Hey now, what are you doing out here all alone?" The dog doesn't move. It only turns its head toward Harold's rocking chair, the one you keep just outside the front window. The chair moves slightly like it's caught a secret wind. "Lord, don't tell me I'm talking to ghosts again," you sigh. The dog steps forward. Mud tracks form a crooked path across the porch, each print neat and careful, as if it knows exactly where it's allowed to step. You glance around, expecting to see someone, a neighbor, a leash, a voice calling. But the street is empty, every house dark. When the animal stops just inside the door frame, you notice something glinting under its neck. A collar, old leather, stitched with a strange pattern. 2 small loops, one broken, shaped almost like angel wings. "Well, ain't that something?" you murmur, crouching slowly. You got yourself some fancy jewelry for a lost pup. The dog lets you touch the collar but not remove it. When you tug gently, it presses its head into your palm, warm, trembling, alive. And for a moment, you forget how long it's been since you've touched anything living that needed you. You bring out a bowl of water and leftover cornbread. The dog eats nothing at first, then licks your fingers instead. "You hungry or just polite?" you whisper. A gust of wind sweeps through the open door, making the front curtains flutter like pale hands. The dog's ears perk, and then it walks straight past you into the living room. You freeze. Not in there," you start to say. But something stops you. It pads right up to Harold's chair. Sniffs once, circles, then sits. You stand in the doorway watching as it lowers its head on the armrest, right where Harold used to rest his hand while reading the evening paper. "Now, how on earth?" you whisper, feeling the tremor of a memory press against your ribs. The clock ticks. Somewhere down the street, a train horn hums in the distance. You move closer, afraid to break the spell, and sit across from the chair. The dog lifts its head, eyes reflecting the lamplight like wet marbles. Then it does something you haven't seen since Harold died. It sighs. A deep, contented, human-like exhale. The kind Harold made after long sermons or Sunday dinners. You reach for your phone, thinking maybe you should call animal control, but the thought feels wrong. Cold, bureaucratic. This isn't just a dog. There's something about it that doesn't belong to the night. You whisper into the quiet. "You remind me of somebody." The house seems to listen. You remember Harold's last night, the nurse humming by his bedside, the quiet beeping of the monitor, his hand squeezing yours weakly. His final words, "Promise me you'll keep the house warm. Something will find its way back to you." You didn't understand it then. You almost don't now. But the dog, the way it looked at you through that rain, the collar's strange stitching. Maybe this is what he meant. You get up, fetch an old towel, and lay it near the fireplace. The dog circles once and lies down. You whisper a prayer under your breath, half gratitude, half confusion, and leave a lamp on, just in case it decides to disappear like everything else you've loved. Before bed, you glance one last time at the living room. The chair is still, the fire low, the dog asleep, breathing slow and steady. But as you turn away, something flickers in the corner of your eye. The collar glinting in the lamplight, that pattern of wings catching gold. And for the first time in months, you don't feel alone in the house. Still, one thought follows you up the stairs like a whisper that won't rest. Why did that dog go straight to his chair? Morning sunlight filters through the lace curtains, scattering faint halos across the living room. You stir awake on the couch, your back stiff, your hand still clutching the edge of the Afghan you didn't remember pulling over yourself. The dog lies exactly where it did last night, curled neatly on the towel, eyes open now, watching you. "Good morning, mysterious stranger," you mumble, rubbing your eyes. "Still here, huh?" It wags its tail once. No bark, no whine, just a slow, solemn wag, as if it understands the weight of quiet in this house. You stretch, glance toward the old rocker by the window. It's perfectly still now, bathed in gold light. A small sigh escapes you. Maybe it was just the wind last night. Maybe grief still plays tricks on your nerves. You brew coffee, humming a hymn you haven't thought of in years. The smell fills the kitchen. Rich, familiar, like Sunday mornings when Harold would read the paper aloud while you made biscuits. You set a small bowl of milk beside the dog. It drinks now, finally. Careful sips as though trying not to make noise. "That's better," you say softly. "Guess we'll keep each other company for a bit." You lean down, noticing again the collar. It's no ordinary stitching. The loops and wings are precise, embroidered with silver thread that glints faintly even in shadow. On the inside, faint letters have been rubbed away by time, but one shape remains, a lowercase e. E, you whisper. Could be a name. "Ellie? Ethan?" You pause. Or Ellen. The word tastes familiar, like something from a half-remembered dream. You pull the collar slightly, but the dog stiffens. You stop, pat its head. All right, all right. You keep your secrets." The rest of the morning moves slow. You sweep the porch, fill a bowl with clean water, and watch the dog sniff each corner of the house like it's cataloging memories. When it reaches the hallway, it stops outside Harold's study. Its ears flatten. It lets out a small whimper. You step beside it. "He used to sit in there for hours," you say quietly. "Writing letters, fixing things. Didn't like people touching his desk." The dog nudges the door open with its nose. The study smells of old paper and lemon polish. Dust floats through the light like lazy snow. The desk drawers are closed, except one slightly ajar. You don't remember leaving it that way. Inside rests a wooden box you've never seen before. Small, smooth, carved with the same wing-like loops as the collar. Your breath catches. "What in God's name?" you whisper, fingers trembling as you lift it. The dog sits at your feet, tail still. Its eyes track every movement, alert but calm, as if waiting. You open the box. Inside, just an old key, a church bulletin, and a faded photograph of Harold in a hospital gown. Standing beside him is a woman you don't recognize, light-skinned, middle-aged, smiling faintly. On the back, Harold's handwriting reads, "To the woman who kept her promise, E.B." You close your eyes, the initials echoing like a bell. E.B. Ellen Brooks, the nurse from his hospice days. Your chest tightens. You remember the name now. She was kind, soft-spoken. Harold liked her, trusted her even when the pain made him sharp-tongued with everyone else. After his passing, she disappeared before the funeral. No goodbye, no letter. So how on earth does her symbol end up on this dog's collar? You sit down hard on the edge of the bed. The key jingles faintly as you place it on your palm. No tag, no label, just the same winged engraving on the head, a puzzle piece without a picture. The dog walks closer, rests its chin on your knee, and looks at you the same way Harold used to when he wanted to say something but didn't have the words. "Well, boy," you whisper. "Looks like we got a mystery on our hands." That night, you light a candle instead of using the lamp. The flame dances shadows across the room, making everything feel alive. The dog dozes by the fire again, paws twitching. You sip your tea and stare at the photograph, tracing the curve of Harold's handwriting. "E.B., you murmur. "He never told me about this woman. You're not the jealous type." But grief breeds strange thoughts, doesn't it? What if he'd said something to her he couldn't say to you? What if she knew something about his last days that you didn't? You glance at the dog. Maybe it's silly, but part of you wants to ask it out loud. Instead, you just whisper, "If you could talk, boy, I'd ask what she promised him." The dog opens one eye, as if the question woke it. Then it stands, walks straight to the rocker again, and curls up there this time. Not on the towel, not by the fire, but in Harold's exact spot. You almost tell it to move, but you don't. Something in your gut says, let it be. The candle flickers. The room softens. For a long time, you simply sit and listen to the faint crackle of the wick, the rhythm of paws shifting against wood, and the beating reminder of your own heart, steady, human, alive. And then, just before you drift into sleep, you notice something new, the dog's collar gleaming faintly again, the silver thread reflecting shapes on the wall. They look like angel wings, open, glowing, spreading wider as the flame dances. You whisper, half dreaming, "Harold, if this is your doing..." I'm listening, but the house gives no answer. Only the wind sighs against the window pane and the dog breathes softly in time with your heart. Still, the question won't let go. Who was Ellen Brooks? And what did she promise my husband? The next morning, the wind has turned colder. You pull your shawl tight as you step out to fetch the paper, and there, on the porch, sits something new. A small cream-colored envelope. No stamp, no name, just tucked under the doormat like it's been waiting all night. You glance around. The yard is empty, the street quiet. Only the sound of the wind chimes Harold hung last summer, swaying slow. Inside the envelope, a folded note in delicate cursive. If you still live at 212 Maple Lane, please come to St. Luke's Church before noon. It's about Harold. Your stomach knots. You haven't heard his name written by another hand in months. The dog watches as you read, head tilted. You had something to do with this, didn't you? You whisper. It doesn't move, just stares, the way people do when they already know what you're about to decide. By 11, you're standing at the front of St. Luke's, that old red brick church with ivy crawling up its bell tower. You used to sing there before Harold got sick. Now you can barely walk past it without memories clawing at your ribs. The dog sits quietly at your feet as you knock on the wooden door. It opens with a long creak. A woman stands there, short gray hair, nurse's pin still on her jacket even though this isn't a hospital. Her eyes widen when she sees you. "Mrs. Bennett," she says softly. "I wasn't sure you'd come." You know the voice instantly. Ellen Brooks. You both sit in the front pew, the silence heavy between you. The dog lies beside your legs, perfectly still. Ellen takes a deep breath. "I owe you an explanation." You nod, your hands folded tight around your purse. Your husband, Harold, he made me a promise before he passed. He asked me to find a way to give something back to you. Something he couldn't explain in words. You blink, unsure whether to feel angry or grateful. "A promise?" Ellen nods. "He used to talk about that house, you know. The rocking chair, the porch swing, the way you made coffee in that chipped blue pot. He said you saved him more times than he deserved." You swallow. "Then why didn't he tell me about you?" Ellen's face softens. "Because he thought you wouldn't believe it." "Believe what?" She reaches into her coat and pulls out a small, tarnished keychain with a slot missing. "This belonged to him," she says. "He said you had the other half." You freeze. The key in your pocket suddenly feels heavier. You take it out, compare it. They fit perfectly, clicking into place with a sound that echoes through the empty church. Ellen exhales shakily. He said, when the time was right, something of his would find its way back to you, something alive. You frown. Alive? Her eyes flick down toward the dog who's watching her quietly, tail still. "Yes," she whispers. "That dog belonged to Harold." Your heart stumbles. "No, that can't be. Harold never had a dog after Buddy passed." Ellen nods sadly. "He didn't tell you because it wasn't his." "Not exactly. We found him, abandoned near the hospice. He'd visit Harold's room every morning, sit by his bed until visiting hours ended. When Harold passed, The dog howled for hours. Wouldn't eat, wouldn't move. I took him home, but he ran away last week. I guess he came back to where he belonged. The pew feels like it's tilting under you. You look down at the dog, your throat tightening. You came back to me? It gazes up with soft, steady eyes. Ellen's voice trembles. He named him Spirit. Said it reminded him of you, stubborn, loyal, always finding your way home. You press a hand to your mouth, tears welling. Ellen places a hand on your shoulder. There's more. The key you found. It opens the deposit box Harold left in my care. He said you'd understand when you were ready. She hands you a folded slip of paper, a bank address scrawled in Harold's handwriting. You take it with shaking fingers. Why now? You whisper. Ellen sighs. Because he told me to wait until Spirit found his way back to you. Said that would mean you were ready to hear the rest. You look at the key, then at the dog, then at the church window where the light falls through the glass in soft gold beams. Harold's voice seems to echo somewhere inside that silence. When she's ready, she'll know where to look. You stand, steadying yourself on the pew. Well, you murmur, voice barely holding. Looks like I got one more errand to run. Spirit stands too, tail wagging once, as if he's been waiting for that line all along. That night, the house feels different. Warmer somehow. You sit on the couch with the key on your palm, staring at the address again. The dog lies by your feet, eyes half closed. Spirit, you whisper. What did Harold leave me that was so important? You don't expect an answer. But when the wind shifts, you hear it again, the faint creak of the rocker in the corner. Moving, all on its own. You close your eyes, clutching the key, and let the whisper of wood and memory fill the quiet. Because somewhere in that sound, you swear you can hear Harold's voice again, low, steady, and full of peace. You were never alone, Clara. I just had to find a way to remind you. You wait until morning to go. Something in you wants daylight. Proof that what you're walking toward is real and not just the echo of a dream. The sun is sharp but gentle, the kind that makes dust glisten in the air. Spirit walks beside you as you climb the steps of First County Savings, the same bank where you and Harold opened your first joint account 40 years ago. Back then, you were newlyweds with more love than money and a single goal, to build something that would last. The glass doors hiss open, and cold air wraps around you. Good morning. Ma'am, says the teller, a young man with kind eyes. How can I help you? You slide the slip of paper across the counter. I need to access a safe deposit box. It's my late husband's. He glances at the note, then at you. Do you have the key? You nod and hand it over, the small silver key Harold left behind, engraved with that faint looping wing. The teller studies it. Box 118, he says softly. Been years since anyone's asked for that one. He leads you to the back, through a hallway lined with silent vault doors. Spirit trots close, his nails clicking softly against the marble floor. The room feels colder back here, like time doesn't move the same. The teller unlocks the box, hesitates, then steps aside. Take your time, ma'am. Inside the narrow box sits a thick envelope tied with string, a folded piece of music paper, and a single cassette tape labeled in Harold's handwriting, for Clara. When Spirit finds his way home, your hand trembles as you lift it. He really thought of everything, you whisper. You take the envelope first. Inside, a letter. The paper smells faintly of tobacco and lemon balm. Harold's scent, my Clara. If you're reading this, it means I kept my word, and Ellen kept hers. I know you never liked secrets between us, but this one wasn't meant to hurt you. I was trying to fix something I couldn't while I was here. You remember the night Buddy passed, how you told me, some souls find their way back no matter what? I wanted to believe you. I asked God for a sign that the good we do doesn't just disappear when we go. Then one night, a stray dog wandered into the hospice garden. Wouldn't leave, just sat there, quiet, watchful. Reminded me of you. I named him Spirit because that's what he had left even when his body looked done. I told Ellen that if anything happened to me, she should take care of him until the right time. The day I couldn't speak anymore, I wrote her a note. I said, "When Spirit returns home, she'll be ready to hear the truth." The truth is, I left more than this letter. There's something I wanted you to have, something you gave up long ago for me. Follow the song, Clara. You'll know what to do when you hear it. Always, H. You reread it twice, maybe 3 times. Each line folds time in on itself, love and loss tangled like threads in a quilt. You pick up the music paper next. Notes scatter across the staff, a melody you almost recognize. Then it hits you. It's the lullaby you used to hum when Harold was sick, the one your mother sang when you were little. Spirit nudges your knee, tail flicking once. You look down at him. Follow the song, huh? You can't help but laugh, half tears, half disbelief. That evening, you dust off the old cassette player from the hall closet. It takes a few tries before it clicks on, the motor whining softly like an old friend clearing its throat. You press play static first. Then Harold's voice, older, rasped by sickness but warm. "Clara, if you're listening, thank you for letting me go with peace. There's something I couldn't say then. Something I needed to make right. Remember the scholarship fund you gave up when we married? The one you used for my store loan?" Your throat tightens. You remember it well. The day you cashed out your dream of going back to school so Harold could open Bennett Hardware. I never forgot that, the recording continues. You said, "We'll build our future together, Harold," and we did. But I always felt you gave more than you got. There's a pause. You can hear him cough, then chuckle softly. So, I fixed that. The papers in the envelope will show it. I transferred everything left from the shop's sale into a scholarship fund. Named it after you. The Clara Bennett Promise Grant. It'll help young women who had to stop chasing their dreams, like you did, get another chance. You cover your mouth. Tears spill before you can stop them. Spirit's job was to guide you here. Harold's voice says gently, "Guess he did all right." The tape ends with the faint sound of him humming, the same lullaby from the music sheet. You sit in silence long after it clicks to a stop. Spirit lays his head on your lap. His fur is warm, grounding, real. "Guess we both got our sign," you whisper, stroking his back. Outside, the porch chimes stir again, soft and slow, carrying the last bars of Harold's song through the wind, almost like he's still humming along. But even as peace settles in, another question stirs quietly beneath it. If the letter and tape were meant to bring closure, why did Harold ask Ellen to wait until now? You glance down at the wooden box from his desk, the one that held the key. Beneath the lining, a faint outline remains, like something used to be hidden there and was removed. Something still missing. Spirit's ears twitch, nose lifting toward the window. A low growl hums in his chest. You follow his gaze. Outside, across the street, a car idles. A woman sits in the driver's seat watching the house. Ellen, only. She isn't smiling this time. You watch her through the lace curtain, heart thudding like an echo in your chest. The same kind eyes, the same soft bun of silver hair, yet something about Nurse Ellen looks different now. Heavier, perhaps, like she's been carrying something that won't let her sleep. The car idles for a moment longer, then rolls away slowly. No wave, no smile, just silence and dust. Spirit whines softly, pacing near the door. "Yeah," you murmur. "I saw her too." By evening, the unease has settled into your bones like weather before a storm. You make tea, turn on the lamp by Harold's photo, and try to focus on the gentle hum of the radio. But your mind won't let go of one thought. If she was here, why didn't she come in? You glance again at the cassette tape, now resting beside the folded music sheet. The words echo. "Follow the song, Clara." You hum the tune absently. 3 soft notes, one low, one high, one trembling in between. And that's when Spirit's ears perk. He rises, trots to the hallway, and sits before the old piano Harold could never bring himself to sell. You almost laugh through the chill creeping up your spine. You a music critic now? But Spirit's gaze stays locked on the sheet stand, the one holding the hymn book you haven't opened since Harold's funeral. You cross the room slowly, each step stretching the quiet thinner and thinner. When you lift the book, something slips out. A faded photograph, Harold, smiling beside a woman in scrubs. Ellen. Behind them, a small house with peeling white paint and a mailbox marked Brooks. You flip it over. Written faintly in Harold's handwriting, "Her debt is ours now. Promise her peace." You sit back, the photo trembling between your fingers. "Her debt?" You whisper. "What debt?" A knock startles you, sharp, 3 times. Spirit barks, low warning. You open the door a few inches. The porch light spills across Ellen's face. She looks older up close, shadows under her eyes like bruises of sleepless years. "Mrs. Bennett," she says softly, voice almost breaking. "You shouldn't have gone to the bank. You blink." "You knew I would." "I did," she admits. "But it's not finished yet." You let her in. Spirit circles her warily, then sits, tail stiff. The air feels thick, heavy with unspoken history. Ellen's gaze falls on Harold's photo. "He was right," she says quietly. "You were the kindest soul he ever met." "Then why the secrets?" You ask. "Why wait all these years?" Her eyes glisten. "Because he asked me to, until I could make something right." She reaches into her bag and pulls out a worn leather folder. Sets it on the table. Inside are hospital records, a few letters, and a bill stamped in red, past due. "The hospital covered his care," she says. "But the medication trial that bought him those last months? It wasn't approved yet. He didn't qualify, so I falsified a form. Said he was part of a study so he could get it free. I risked my license." You stare at her. "You did that for him?" "I did it for both of you." Her hands tremble. "But when the trial ended, the company came looking for payment. I didn't have the money and I couldn't tell you without revealing what I'd done. So Harold made me a promise. He'd take responsibility after he passed." You frown. "That letter in the box was only half the truth," she interrupts. "The scholarship? Yes, that was his way of honoring you. But it was also his way of repaying me. He told me if Spirit ever found you again, it meant the debt had been forgiven." She looks down at the dog, tears spilling freely now. "He must have known I couldn't live with the guilt forever." The house is quiet except for Spirit's slow breathing. You feel your anger dissolving, replaced by something heavier. Compassion laced with disbelief. "So the dog," you whisper. "He was my dog." Ellen nods. "After Harold died, he wouldn't eat. Wouldn't bark. I thought maybe he sensed my shame." "The night of the accident?" Her voice cracks. "He ran off before I could stop him. When I woke in the hospital, they told me he'd vanished. I always believed he was looking for you." You glance at Spirit, now resting his head on Ellen's knee. The circle is complete, yet you sense another question turning in your mind. "Ellen," you say carefully, "why were you watching the house?" She hesitates too long. "Because someone else has been too." A cold tremor slides down your spine. "What do you mean?" "There was a man who used to visit Harold in secret late nights," she says. "Claimed to be a business partner. But after Harold passed, he kept calling, asking about the shop's sale and a missing account number. I think he believes the money from that scholarship fund should have gone to him." You frown. "I don't understand. Harold didn't have any partners." She looks up at you, voice trembling. "He did once. Before the shop burned down. A man named William Carter." Your breath catches. "Bill Carter? The one who sued him?" Ellen nods. "He never let it go." You sit down slowly, the pieces of the puzzle tightening like a noose. "So he's still around," you murmur. "I think he's been watching the house since you went to the bank," she says. "Harold told me if Bill ever resurfaced, there's one last thing hidden, something that would prove the truth." Her gaze shifts toward the window. Spirit growls again. Outside, the same car idles. Lights off this time. Ellen's hand finds yours. "If we find what Harold hid, we can end this once and for all." You squeeze back steady. "Then we'd better find it before he does." Somewhere beyond the porch, a door slams. Tires crunch over gravel. The sound fades into the night. Spirit barks once, sharp, urgent. You whisper to the dark, "All right, Harold." I'm following the song. And somewhere, faintly, as if the air itself remembers his melody, 3 notes drift through the silence again. Low, high, trembling in between. The next morning, you wake with sunlight pouring through the blinds and the uneasy feeling that something's already waiting for you outside. You glance toward the porch. No car this time, no shadow. Just Spirit sitting alert by the window, ears pricked as if he's listening to something you can't hear. Ellen stayed on the couch overnight, her hands clasped together even in sleep, whispering names under her breath. When she stirs, her first words are, "Did he come back?" You shake your head. No sign of him. "But I can feel eyes on this house." Ellen nods slowly. "Then we should move fast." After breakfast, black coffee and 2 slices of burnt toast, because your nerves refuse to let your hands steady, you spread Harold's letter and the photo across the kitchen table. The looping wing symbol stares back at you from every corner like it's trying to speak. "Follow the song," you whisper again. What if he didn't mean music? What if it's something else, something hidden? Ellen frowns. "Hidden where?" You glance toward the old piano. He built that bench himself. Said it was for when the music needs more space. Spirit is already sitting beside it, tail flicking. You kneel by the piano bench, fingers tracing the grooves worn smooth by decades of hymns and holiday carols. The hinges creak open, sheet music yellowed and soft. You lift one pile, and something clicks underneath, a false bottom. Inside, a small tin box, plain except for one marking, that same looping wing. "Harold," you breathe. "What did you do?" You open it. Inside lies a folded newspaper clipping, a faded keycard, and a letter addressed not to you, but to William Carter. "Bill, if you're reading this, I'm gone." You can stop circling what isn't yours. The money from the store went to something better, something that might make up for what we both ruined. I lied when I said I forgave you, but maybe this way I'll learn how. If you still want proof, it's in the song. Look for the name on the grant. She earned it. You didn't. H. Ellen leans closer, whispering, "He knew Carter might come after you." You nod, staring at the key card. He left us a trail. But to what? You decide to visit the old hardware store before Carter does. It's been closed for years, its windows clouded with dust and memories. As you pull up, the air feels thicker, like the building itself is holding its breath. You half expect to see Harold's silhouette in the doorway, wiping his hands on a rag. Instead, the lock on the front door is already broken. You exchange a look with Ellen. "Stay here," you whisper. Spirit doesn't listen. He slips in beside you, nose twitching. Inside, sunlight slants through the cracked windows, catching motes of dust in its path. Shelves stand bare, a graveyard of old tools and silence. You step carefully, the floorboards groaning under your shoes. Then, a thud. In the back room, Ellen's voice trembles. "He's here." You motion for quiet and push open the office door. William Carter stands at Harold's old desk, back to you. Time hasn't softened him. Still broad-shouldered, still wearing that smug tilt of chin that once said, "I always win." He's rifling through drawers when he hears the hinge creak. "Turn slowly." "Well," he drawls, "I was hoping the widow would show up. You always did keep the best secrets, Clara. You keep your voice steady. You shouldn't be here. Neither should your friend." He nods toward Ellen, eyes narrowing. "The nurse who doctored my partner's records. I wondered if you two would reunite." Ellen stiffens but doesn't speak. Carter smirks. "Where's the file, Clara?" "I know Harold hid proof that money was meant for me." "There's nothing for you here?" you reply. "Oh, I think there is." He steps closer, gloved hand brushing dust off the desk. "See, Harold owed me. We built this place together. But he couldn't handle the pressure. Insured it, burned it down, and pinned the blame on me." "You think he was some saint?" "He wasn't. He stole my name, my work, my money. Your breath catches. That's not true, isn't it?" He opens a drawer, pulls out a yellowing paper. Insurance payout form, 1993. Signed by Harold Bennett and William Carter, except that's not my signature. He throws it down. Forgery clear as day, Ellen whispers. That's impossible. Carter grins. Oh, I'm not here for the past, sweetheart. I just want what's owed, before that cute little scholarship fund disappears under your church's tax exemptions. He steps closer. So where is it? You take a deep breath, forcing calm. You ever listen to music, Bill? He frowns. What? You walk to the corner where Harold's old radio still sits, rusted but intact. You twist the dial. Static, then a crackle of faint melody. Harold's voice hums through, low, high, trembling in between. The keycard in your pocket vibrates faintly against your palm. Spirit barks once, runs toward the back wall, scratches twice, then paws at a loose panel near the floor. You pull it open. Inside, a safe with a glowing red slot. The keycard slides in perfectly. Beep unlocked. Inside the safe, not money, but a videotape. Labeled Insurance Statement, 1993, Carter's smile fades. What is that? You hold it up. The truth you keep running from, Ellen whispers. It's proof, isn't it? You nod. And we're not the only ones who'll see it. Carter lunges, but Spirit leaps between you, teeth bared, growl deep and raw. Ellen grabs the tape, you shove Carter back, and in that chaos, something in you clicks. Harold never wanted revenge. He wanted the world to see, the same way he saw through everyone, including himself. You and Ellen bolt for the car, Spirit at your heels, the tape clutched to your chest like scripture. Behind you, Carter's shout echoes through the empty store. You can't bury the past, Clara! You married it! You start the engine. The tires spin gravel into dust. Ellen exhales, voice shaking. Where to now? You grip the wheel. Somewhere people still believe in evidence. And as the store shrinks in the rear view, the morning light catches Spirit's collar again. That looping wing flashing once like a signal from somewhere just beyond sight. You don't know yet that what's on that tape will change not just Harold's name, but everything you thought you knew about him, Ellen, and the night the fire began. For now, all you can hear is that soft hum again, threading through the car speakers as if from nowhere. Follow the song, and this time you swear you hear Harold whisper back. The drive back to your house feels longer than it should, not because of the distance, but because every song that comes on the radio sounds like Harold. Soft, patient, hiding something in the pauses between the notes, Ellen sits in silence beside you, clutching the tape like it's alive. Spirit rests his head on her lap, eyes fixed on the window. Finally, Ellen whispers, You know what scares me most, Clara? Not what's on the tape, but why he left it. You glance over. What do you mean? She looks down at the label, Insurance Statement, 1993, and says quietly, Harold wasn't the kind of man to record something unless he knew he'd never get another chance to explain. Back home, the afternoon feels heavy. You dig out the old VCR from the attic, the one you swore you'd toss years ago, and hook it up to your television. The static buzzes like nerves. Ellen stands behind you, hands folded tight. Spirit sits right between you both, as if waiting for a command. You press play. The screen flickers, and there he is. Harold, sitting behind the same hardware store counter, younger, tired but calm. He stares straight into the camera. If anyone's watching this, it means the fire went the way I thought it might. Bill Carter and I started this store together. But the night the books went missing, he said he'd fix it. Only fix meant burning the place down for the insurance. I stopped him. Or thought I did, Ellen gasps softly. When the papers came, I signed his name to protect him. He said his boy was sick, that he needed that payout. I told myself it was mercy. But mercy without truth? That's just another kind of sin. He rubs his hands together. You can see the tremor in his fingers, so if they're still saying I stole or lied, show them this. Show them the real thief was the man who called me brother. The image flickers, and for a moment you think it's over. But then he leans closer to the camera, eyes wet but steady. And Clara, if you ever see this, take the song back. It wasn't written for shame. It was written to start over. Then the screen goes black. You sit there for a long time, the silence louder than anything. Finally, Ellen whispers, "He was protecting him." Even then, you nod slowly, and Carter's been chasing that guilt ever since. Spirit lets out a low whine, pressing against your knee. You turn to Ellen. "You were the nurse, weren't you?" "The one from Harold's last week's." Her eyes glisten. "Yes, I used to sit by his bed while he hummed that same tune, over and over. I thought it was just comfort, but now I realize it was a message. That night you can't sleep. The house feels too full. Of truth, of ghosts, of choices that never stop echoing. At midnight, headlights sweep across the curtains. You freeze. Ellen sits up from the couch. "Clara!" Through the window, a dark SUV idles in the driveway. The driver's door opens. William Carter steps out, shoulders rigid, eyes cold. He's holding something shiny in one hand, a lighter. "Stay here," you whisper to Ellen. You grab Harold's old wrench from the hall. It's heavy, familiar. Carter stops halfway up the porch. "You think that tape clears him?" He calls out. "It doesn't. It just shows how deep you were both in it. You stand your ground. You burned that store, Bill. You let him die thinking he saved you." His voice cracks. "He did save me, and you took what little I had left." He tosses the lighter onto the porch railing, the flame flaring. A threat, not yet a fire. Then he steps closer. "I came for the tape. Give it to me, and I'll walk away." Ellen's voice from behind. "You'll walk away anyway." She's standing in the doorway now, holding up her phone. "Live stream rolling. Smile, Bill," she says quietly. "You're on camera." Carter freezes. The porch light catches his face, and for the first time you see fear there. Not of police, but of the truth itself. He lowers his hand. The lighter clatters to the floor. "Harold ruined me," he whispers. You shake your head. "No, Bill, he gave you a chance to do right. You just never took it." He stares for a moment longer, then turns and walks toward his car, head bowed. The SUV's engine growls, and he disappears into the night. Inside, Ellen exhales shakily. "Do you think that's the end of it?" You pick up the lighter from the porch, watching the flame still flicker weakly before you snuff it out. "No," you say softly. "But I think Harold finally got the last word." Spirit nudges your leg, tail wagging, and for the briefest second, you swear you hear humming again, faint, coming from nowhere. The same tune. The same piece. That night, as the sky turns silver over the magnolia trees, you place Harold's letter, the key card, and the tape inside the piano bench again. Only this time, you add something new, a note of your own. For the next person who finds this, sometimes mercy and truth arrive at the same doorstep. Don't be afraid to open the door. You close the lid. Spirit sighs and curls up at your feet. And for the first time in years, you sleep without dreaming of smoke. Morning sunlight spills across the kitchen table, warm and forgiving. For once, it doesn't feel like a reminder of what's gone, but of what remains. Ellen hums softly as she pours coffee, the same 3 notes Harold used to whistle when fixing the fence. Spirit lies by the doorway, tail flicking with lazy contentment. You watch them both and think, maybe peace doesn't arrive all at once. Maybe it sneaks in quietly, like forgiveness wearing work shoes. Later that week, the news breaks. Local man arrested in 1993, arson cover-up, evidence found in vintage recording. The anchors say your name gently, like a prayer someone finally remembered. They call it a forgotten case finally finding light. Ellen's phone won't stop buzzing. Reporters, old colleagues, even a hospital foundation asking about the scholarship. But she just smiles and says, "Let them talk. The truth already did." You nod. Harold always said the truth walks slow, but it never limps. 2 months later, you and Ellen stand side by side at the community center dedication. A new brass plaque gleams on the wall, the Harold Bennett Repair Fund, for those who fix what others break. You trace the engraving with your fingertips. "He'd like this," you say. Ellen smiles. "He'd probably tell us to check the spelling first." You both laugh. The kind of laugh that sounds like release. Spirit barks once, catching the sound of a piano playing inside the hall. A little boy sits at the keys, uncertain, then plays the first three notes. Low, high, trembling between. Your chest tightens. Seems Harold's tune found a new home. Ellen whispers. You nod. He always believed music could carry messages. You glance at her, eyes warm. Guess he was right. That night, you sit alone on the porch, cup of tea steaming gently in your hands. The air smells of rain and magnolia. You close your eyes. Somewhere deep in the distance, a familiar hum drifts through the air, faint, steady, comforting. You don't need to look. You already know. It's him. It's peace. Spirit lifts his head, ears twitching, then settles again with a sigh. You smile, whispering into the breeze. We followed the song, Harold, and it led us home. If this story reminded you that love doesn't always arrive with answers, sometimes it brings questions that heal, then don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Have you ever experienced a moment that felt too perfect to be coincidence? Like fate was sending you a message through someone? Or something you least expected? Tell us your story in the comments below. Your experience might inspire our next tale of faith, truth, and second chances. And here's a little challenge for the sharp-eyed viewers. There's a quiet moment around minute 7:18 when the dog pauses by the grave and tilts its head. That secretly reveals who led it back to Clara's porch long before anyone says it aloud. Watch again and tell us what you noticed. Only the most observant hearts will catch the sign. Because in this story, every silence was a message, and every return was proof that love still remembers.